Hello and welcome back to another episode of You First. That's right, it's all about you, and you. I am Shawanna Kennedy. I'm excited. You already know your girl is always excited because we get to have some amazing conversations with some amazing people, which brings me to my guest, because this is one lady that understands the self-care, mental well-being, personal empowerment, all of the things as it relates to personal growth of who we are, who we get to be. Won't you help me welcome to the platform none other than my special guest for today, none other than Barbara Parker. Hey, Barbara. How you doing? Welcome back into You First, all things about self first. I know that we've had other conversations, right? We get to talk candidly on and off camera. You were very vulnerable. You were very transparent in another episode that we were able to share. So if you haven't, you need to go over there and make sure you are checking out that other conversation that we had, where she talked about family. She talked about what that look and that feel like for loss, right? Talking about the guilt and what those things look and feel like with your family when you experience a loss or someone that is on their way to transition. So that was very tender, even for myself, like I said, in real time, experiencing some of those elements right now, which, if I'm being honest with y'all, if I talk about it too long, y'all see me going to the ugly cry. That's how tender and close it is for me. So I want you to know that I'm sending you love. I'm sending you love because I know what that feels like. My dad, even just a couple years ago now. So I get it. I understand. But it's important for people to not forget about themselves, because we don't want people to pass on and then we say, wow, we wish we had done more. So much so, Barbara, let's get into it. This young lady has lost over 70 pounds. And it wasn't just the physical weight. We're going to get into talking about the mental weight. What does that look like when you release almost a person? It's almost a few pounds shy of a person. When you got to that number, because I know it's more than numbers. And for some people, right, to lose 20 pounds, they want to run down the road with no clothes on. To know that you were able to do that, because that's a great accomplishment. When you hit that number, because 10 pounds is a lot, right? Every 12 to 15 pounds, depending on how you're working out, that's an additional dress size. Hello, people. Let's just maybe bring it on home. So that means you lost several dress sizes, several pant sizes. What did that feel like when you was like, I am the stuff? And y'all already know the sugar honey iced tea is what I really want to say. How did that feel to you?
I was surprised because I didn't get to the goal I thought I wanted, but my dress size was over half of what it used to be. But I was like, but I'm trying to get here. I still am only halfway to my goal. And, I had to learn not to listen to the scale.
Yeah.
Because even though it's a biometric scale, I'm expecting it to be like, oh, it's going to say I'm skinnier. And it's like, no, you gained 2 pounds. And then I go to the gym and they were like, oh, you looking more cut, more defined, more this, more that. And I'm like,
no, let's talk about it. Yeah, because people don't realize and understand muscle weighs more than fat. I have been there, and I say, weight loss has been a part of my life journey. I was always heavy. I honestly didn't even start losing weight until after I had my first child. At my heaviest, I was 260 pounds. So I get that. So what did that look like? Was you like, man, I'm going on this shopping spree. They can't even say nothing to me right about now. Let's talk about it. Look, we talking about you first, right?
Yeah. So it was hard because I didn't know, like, my whole style of dress had to change. The clothes that I was more accustomed to wearing didn't fit right. Going to the same stores, I couldn't find the things I liked because the material was flattering in one size and not flattering in the other side. So I went from a size 22 down to a 10, and it was a game changer. Part of being in the gym every day is there's mirrors everywhere. And I realized through working with my personal trainer that he'd be like, oh, look in the mirror. And I'm like, I'll put my head towards the mirror and then I'll look to the floor. Because I just didn't like the sight of myself. I would see things I didn't like. And so a lot of times the clothes that I wear is for me to address that problem area that I don't like. Because if I see it every day, I'm going to get rid of it.
So let's talk about the mirror. Let's talk about the mirror, not only physically, but you had to then begin to do some other self-work, right? When we think about not only physically, but like you said, all of this work, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, you're still looking in the mirror and still was saying, no, something is, we're not done, we're not finished. It's where we have to have that healthy, talk about the self-talk, especially with what you get to do professionally in helping other people to heal, help people to overcome trauma, right? What some of you may not even know is that Barbara's a licensed therapist, and she get to have conversations with people as a living. That is actually her business. That is what she does, is to help people heal from the inside out so that we have more healthier adults and even young adults walking around because of dealing with trauma. And in some cases, we put on the weight by way of food and mental because of other things that are going on. So as we begin to shed those layers, talk to us a little bit about what that looks like, even with yourself, because now you've lost you've definitely lost a couple of children, a couple of babies. You lost a couple of babies by way of weight. If we were to weigh ourselves, what was that like? Why you not want to really do that mirror moment?
Well, for me, I grew up with food being like the thing that you did to celebrate, the thing you did to comfort yourself, the thing you did just because you was bored. So by having a gastric sleeve, you only got like a banana's worth of room, and then immediately after you still have all this inflammation, which means you can't get food in. Yeah. So stress eating and drinking, you have to choose between what you want to eat and what you gonna drink. And so taking the ice out my cup, it was just all these different little things that I had to do because I may want ice cream, I may want steak. Both are not going in. And if I want wine I literally get maybe 3 sips of wine, a couple of bites of steak, and a spoonful of ice cream. So it's like choosing your battles. It made you prioritize. For somebody who had a food addiction, I had to prioritize what thing I was going to eat to feel better, which was a weird position to be in because, you eat until you just so stuck that you just like, all right, I'm good. But I had to learn that my body was actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Part of your body's response to stress has to do with it craving protein. So for me, I learned to do an oatmeal smoothie, which has protein, flaxseed, banana, because your body's also craving carbs, which is why you're like looking for the ice cream or something. All of that stuff is contained in a warm smoothie, which I know hearing warm and smoothie does not sound good, but it's actually delicious. And you make it with warm water, and it actually soothes all those biological cravings that you have been satisfying with large portions of food that you don't need, that don't serve you.
Okay, that sounds real yummy.
I'm gonna make you one. I'm telling you, it's the bomb.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make sure that I come right back here so y'all can see us together having our smoothies, because that doesn't sound yummy, but it definitely, all of the things and the benefits that come from all of that, I get it, because I was one of the things, I was a smoothie girl. I actually still am a smoothie girl. it's one of the things, especially with the season changing, where you can begin to have more of the cold, depending on where you are in the world, more of the cold things. And I know we have to even watch how much fruit we have because of even all of the sugars, which can be dangerous. So when you said oatmeal and flaxseed, it's like, ooh, yum, yum, right? So I get that, because I was waiting for you to really like give it to us and be like, yes, yes, and you berries, So that's nice, and y'all can see why Barbara has and continues to do what she's doing for better health. I want to know about some non-negotiables, not only as it relates to your weight, but in life. When we think about putting you first, making yourself a priority, what is I'm standing 10 toes down, non-negotiables for Barbara L. Parker.
One of the non-negotiables for me is that I'm not going to work out. So I have the perk of owning my own business, so I'm a little bit more flexible. And so I'm able to work out before I come to the office. But I'm also the last person to leave the office. So putting myself first helps me manage my stress level, helps me to process the stress of the day at the way your body, what's the word I'm looking for?
Release all those endorphins to give you that energy, that boost of energy to go in there and make some things happen, right?
But it actually, moving two sides of your body at the same time when you're stressed actually helps bridge the gap between your body and your mind. The cerebral cortex and the amygdala, it helps them talk to each other. And it reduces the trauma that you experience. So having that bilateral stimulation through like dancing, walking, working out, it helps bring that clarity of mind, to make things a lot easier to deal with people, deal with yourself, and just feel good about everything. Plus you have the extra benefits of endorphins being released.
Yeah, I love it. What is one of the questions that you often get time and time again when people have a conversation with you and then they find out what you do professionally? What is one of the questions that you get all the
time? Don't judge me. Okay. So yeah, people assume that because I do what I do, I'm going to judge them harshly, or they'll say, oh, are you hiring? Are you going to give me a free session or something like that? And all those interesting questions that are just kind of like poking fun. And I'm just like, okay. I mean.
Right. No, it's amazing when we think about that and what people, when they find out what it is that we do. And I don't know why people do that. So if you're a person that do that, we need to be a respecter of what people do professionally, because in a lot of cases, it's actually their livelihood. So in a part of putting yourself first, if it's some things that you're doing, especially you potentially could be a business owner or entrepreneur, and you know what it feels like. Because one of the things that people don't do to me anymore is the whole putting yourself first is when you get the conversation, say, hey, let me pick your brain. Do you see how that's draining just right off the rip? Saying, can I pick your brain? There is no pick your brain session, because that already sounds like it's a lot of work, right? I mean, when you say pick your brain, that means you're about to take something from me instead of doing an exchange.
Yeah.
And when we're thinking about you first, right? When we're thinking about what it is that you get to do professionally, it has to be that exchange, because we can't just pour, right? That really is not a cliche about the pouring from what we don't have. That stuff is real. So therefore, that's why we have to be around like-minded people that can pour into us as well as we give freely, because that there has to be an exchange. Otherwise, I can guarantee, you know anything about me, it will not last long, because there has to be an exchange. So what does that look like when you think now Barbara is this whole new person? She's come to grips with herself. She's now, buying bodycon dresses, y'all. Bodycon dresses, and the heels has got a little bit higher, and she's feeling herself as they do. What is this thing? Yeah, she's feeling herself, right? I think that. Look, did I just date myself trying to be like the kids? I don't know. But
that's a little violin, small violin, something.
Like, yeah, you doing that. You ate that up. So you
might teach me something, because I ain't seen that one yet.
I know one of the things that me and you actually do have in common. We do have teenage daughters. Our daughters actually they're the same age. So when we think about self first, we think about self care and the whole mommy and me, right? That whole mommy and me. What does that feel like to have I don't want to say a mini you because I've had the opportunity to kind of listen in and lean in. So I don't know if she's a mini you, but she's definitely going to be somebody's boss. What does that look? Yeah, you see how she's laughing, y'all, because I'm telling the truth. She's going to be somebody's boss. What does that look like when you think about your daughter? I know you have you have sons, but when you think about your daughter, when you think about the mommy and me, another female, even in the house in self-care, how does that relationship work with y'all?
So when it comes to my daughter, she has been the boss since she was like 2 of everybody. And I remember when my current husband met her and we were going Pokemon Go and she was having some sort of fit about something. I was like, don't feed the beast. Do not feed the beast. And so he was like, no, I'm like, now you 8 years in. You've been fed the beast. Now suck it up. Because I told you. But her advice is very sound. Like she's the counselor for all of her friends. She's an inspiring counselor as well as my son. And they actually are like, the biggest cheerleaders. They are so, sometimes I hear her saying things and I'm like, oh, you know that now? You know how long it took me to learn that?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I did a good job. So, her, and she's in this phase of dating and all those good things. And the boys that she's picking to date are good guys. They're nice boys. She's not dating them all simultaneously, y'all. I know I said boys. I've been around to meet all of them. Mm-hmm. And the relationships lasted a lot longer. And I think it's because I taught her the skills of self-worth and how to have that hard conversation of knowing this is my boundary. I'm not going to cross it. Nothing you say. And she is. And so she is not. Nothing with her is going to be a suggestion. Yeah. She's going to bring you suggestions that she's the boss.
No, I love it. And when we think about youth, when we think about our children, it is being okay to have those conversations, because sometimes not having the conversations is doing more harm than good by not calling a thing a thing. When you think about self-care and mental well-being, we have got to call it what it is, and not saying, because if you got a headache, your head is not just hurting. Something is causing your head to hurt, whether you had too much sodium, whether you didn't get enough water. Call it what it is, because we cannot fix what we do. We're not willing to call it and confront it. So those things, when we call that stuff out, it helps to make it better. And I love what you said about your daughter, because we have to be okay to have those conversations as they begin to lean into having someone else be a part of their life. And when they are more aware of themselves, when you are self-aware, people can't put stuff over on you as easy. They got to do a little bit more work. When you are self-aware and you know your worth, you really do. And that goes from the youngest to the oldest. Understanding not only whose you are, but who you are is a game changer. That is a freaking game changer when you understand the power in that. It's power in understanding that. When I think about our daughters again, while we're talking about our daughters, as well as our sons, because I have, I think you 2 sons, daughter. I have 1 son, 2 daughters. I've heard you have the conversation even with your sons. And when we think about being the nurturers and building them up, because we know, they're not married. They look and they lean on us for that mental support. How is that conversation even with your sons, not just your daughter?
So the conversations are very similar in that they all know what I believe and what I want them to be. I've been talking to them about being good citizens since they were little, which means you follow the rules. And sometimes rules have loopholes. Just the nature of it. And so my kids, even when they were little toddlers, jumping on the bed, and I say, stop jumping on the bed, they sit on the bed and do like this. Like, it's just preloaded on the DNA. just found that loophole. And so they know how to navigate the space. A lot of times, they get frustrated because they now live a life of privilege. Whereas before, they, I didn't have anything, and they were too young to understand they ain't had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So now, as I've, taught myself to get all these different skills and have all these different teachers, and have been privileged enough to have mentors that really held on to me, and I'm still in touch with them today, pass that knowledge on to them and have those conversations in real time as they're needing them, and also preparing them for where I know they're going to go, and those rooms that they're going to be in that they're not currently even aware are available to them. Sometimes they get frustrated with me because it seems like I'm giving them conflicting information, but I need you to have this set of skills and I need you to have this set of skills, because depending on the situation you're in, you're going to need both. You're going to need to know when to walk away and when to put your foot down and say, absolutely not, I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So having that ability to have the self-confidence and, with my kids, sometimes, how do I say it? We have this saying, and you have to pardon me if I can't cuss.
Hey, we grown in here. We grown.
Okay. So with my kids, I tell them I'd rather them be a smart ass than a dumb ass every day. Say what I need you to understand. You're going to make mistakes. You can fix it. And I got your back. But you need to move smart. Find the information you need to do better. Don't just make a decision and then think you're not going to have consequences. In each situation you had a choice. So making sure they understand they always have a choice, whether they don't like the choice. Like your choice could be liver and shoe leather. If you choose to eat the leather, then you chose to eat the leather. But you had choices. You had the choice to be hungry. So, each choice has its own set of consequences, and those consequences you have to live with. And it doesn't mean that every choice you have is going to be pleasant. It just means you're going to live with the consequences of those choices. So choose wisely.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Yay, Barbara Parker. Yay, Barbara Parker. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I have to ask you one last question before we get out of here. When you think about self-care, mental well-being, personal empowerment, and development of yourself, if you had to think of one word that would help center you when all the things is going on, what would that one word be to bring you back to who you are?
Peace. Nothing broken, nothing missing. Wholeness.
Ooh, I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. Don't y'all love Barbara Parker? Make sure y'all showing her some love in the comments. Go over right now, especially on IG. She's on all platforms, but especially on IG at Queen BL Parker. Queen BL Parker. Go follow Barbara right now. Let her know that you saw her right here on You First. Barbara, don't you go nowhere. Let me get them out of here. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for being my amazing guest. You already know we're going to have her back because we need to do a little pulling and we need to let her go into some of that skill where she can kind of do some analyzing, right? So we're going to have Barbara back. Don't go nowhere, Barbara. Be right back with you. All right. Thank y'all so much for joining me for this episode of You First, because it's all things you. I say it all the time. Do something today your future self will thank you for. What is that thing that you could do today? We get to live by what's happening right now because of some of the things that we've done in our past. So if you had to say something, what would you do right now? What would you do right now? Move to action. Don't just think about it, be about it. Make yourself a priority, never above your creator, because we know in all things we know with him, we live, move, and have our being. But then there is still work that we have to do, and it has to start with who? It has to all start with you first. I'm Shawanna Kennedy, your host. I love to get what I do. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. Thank you for liking, sharing, and even subscribing. And so I will see you again next time. Bye for now. episode is brought to you by Kennedy Media and Entertainment, your premier video productions and digital visibility partner. Working with business owners just like you to be seen, heard, and paid by elevating your brand with high-impact video content, online visibility strategies, and expert social media management. Ready to stand out in your industry, on and off camera? Contact Kennedy Media today, and let's turn your message into a movement, because visibility isn't optional, it's essential. Contact KennedyMediaLLC.com, KennedyMediaLLC.com, and let's boost your brand's visibility. It's time for you to be seen, heard, and known for your expertise. Contact us today.